I am going 6-0 in the division because the rest of the division sucks.
This is the best division in football, Tori.
Take that step back. We are seeing the true quarterback that he really is, which he is not a very good quarterback.
Welcome to the Man Now, where we taking over. It's time to give you them facts. Won't miss a game or two, cause we here for you and we reporting all of them stats. We coming to you live to keep you updated. Broadcast across the country, we the fan favorites. Break the volume to the max and don't nobody touch it. We crossing topics off the list, addressing every subject. So if you ain't got a clue, then you can tune in and give it 24 hours and we back again. Breaking news, new scoops, we the top dogs. From the fields to the courts, we report it all. Buzzer beaters through your speakers, we the ones to call. Trust us for the news if it's got a ball. Giving you the top stories cause we love the turf. Tell a friend to tune in and where you heard it first. Yeah, you're listening to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them stats. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them facts. Yeah, you listen to the Man Now. We taking over, it's time to give you them facts. Turn the speakers up a little loud. Miss a game or two cause we reporting all of them stats. Cause you listen to the Man Hour.
And what is up, Man Hour Nation? Michael Buckasher here with the Man Hour. Be sure to head over to manhourradio.com. Check out the Beastie merch. Check out the Team Buck merch. And, of course, check out the logo merch as well. Also have Takeaway 22 merch over there. Tomes. Tell people what Takeaway 22 is all about.
Takeaway 22 is all about our veterans and taking care of our veterans. And that is something that the VA has failed to do for a long time now. And so right now we're at a rate of 22 veterans a day committing suicide. And that's 22 too many. So for every bit of the 22 a day merch that we sell, we will make those proceeds go to the Till Valhalla Project. And that will help give headstones to veterans who have committed suicide, give headstones to veterans who never made it home from overseas, for families who cannot afford to do so. It will give them all sorts of stuff to help remember their brave man or woman who died after serving in active duty. So it's definitely a great cause. It's something that's near and dear to my heart, something I donate to all the time. So definitely hit up that 22 a day merch.
Yeah, guys, you can get that merch at manhourradio.com or simply click on the link below. So, guys, be sure to check that out. Be highly fantastic. Because we do got an action-packed show for you tonight. The Final Four is set. We do have the Battle of the Blue Bloods happening in the Final Four. We're going to talk some NFL free agency, some big losses, and some big moves. And Combs has some inside track to Major League Baseball, so we'll finish out the show with some Major League Baseball talk and how teams are really spending their money. And let's just be honest, it's not in pay or play role at the end of the day. It's all about buying hookers and blows and doing cocaine off of hookers' asses. But speaking of people doing cocaine,
Good Friday night.
Speaking of doing cocaine off of hookers' asses, the Final Four is set, Combs. But this Elite Eight was kind of blah, right? I mean, it was a bunch of blowouts. There's a bunch of no upsets. I mean, the Peacocks, they didn't fly very well anymore. What was your first initial thoughts of this this Elite Eight?
Yeah, today I expected both of those games to be blowouts. I even called it. I said both games will be probably 20-point victories for each team. North Carolina won by 20, Kansas won by 26. So that was no surprise to me. Yesterday, Houston putting up a fight against Villanova was kind of a shock. I felt like Houston was very overrated headed to the end of this tournament. I thought they would have been out a lot earlier than what they were. And then, Arkansas hung in with Duke for a little while, but Duke ultimately pulled away in the end. And Coach K going to another Final Four. I mean, the Elite Eight, it was what we probably thought it was. When you have a 10 versus an 11 seed, you have an 8 versus a 10, you have all sorts of crazy stuff going on. So I think we got what we thought we were going to get this weekend in college basketball. I was not surprised that there was a lot of blowouts, though.
Yeah, unfortunately, that is just the name of the game. When you have these blue bloods that are in the Final Four, I'm talking Duke, North Carolina, and Kansas. Those teams have been there and done that time and time again. And then you have teams like Arkansas. Yes, they have had back-to-back Elite Eight runs, right? But let's just be honest. You have to learn how to lose before you can win, and Arkansas just isn't there yet. St. Peter's and the like in the Peacocks, they were a great story, right? They beat Kentucky, they beat Purdue, and they beat Michigan State, I think, as well. I can't remember.
They ran all the way to the Elite Eight. I believe they beat Michigan.
Michigan, okay, yeah. It was Michigan.
But
but at the end of the day, size and power and experience beats these teams that have leaky roofs in their gyms, teams that have that owe millions of dollars in back payment to coaches and athletic directors and like all this other just like other stuff. So St. Peter's was a great story, but at the end of the day, you know, your flame flares out somehow, some way.
Would you have been happy to see St. Peter's win it all? Like, would that have been something like? Would you have been more drawn to, let's say, St. Peter's versus Villanova, with St. Peter's winning the title game, than you would be if it's going to be, say, Duke versus Villanova in a title game, with it being Coach K's last run? What do you think's a better story there?
So I think Coach K winning his final game as a Duke Blue Devil, that is the story that everybody wants, right? Yes, he did not end out on top at home when North Carolina beat them, but ultimately it would be bittersweet for Coach K to beat North Carolina in the tournament and win a national championship. So St. Peter's was a great historic run, right? They're the first 15 seed to make it past the Sweet 16, right? They beat a bunch of powerful teams. I mean, Kentucky, a lot of people, including you, Combs, had them going to the championship game, and I think winning the championship. Michigan wasn't a bad team. Yes, they stumbled late toward the end of the year, but they're not a bad team. And then today versus North Carolina. North Carolina is a championship caliber team. So they beat two teams that could win, that could have won it all. So there's nothing to bow your heads about that whatsoever. But obviously, the Coach K story is a lot better in a lot more historical, historic storybook written like atmosphere there. So if you think anything is rigged, Coach K versus North Carolina in the Final Four or the championship, there's your rig statement there, and Coach K wins on top.
Yeah, and you get a Final Four matchup that is going to be Coach K versus North Carolina to get to a championship game if they can beat North Carolina, right? And you also get a storyline on the other side of that where North Carolina has a chance to send Coach K packing in the Final Four. And for both of those schools, I think that the storyline for this game is just it's through the roof. I think this is probably going to be the most watched game of the tournament. I don't think anybody, even the championship game, I don't think anybody will watch
more than
this one. Yeah, absolutely. Because this storyline, what we have here going on next Saturday, I'm telling you, I will be locked in on my TV. I know, look, baseball's coming up. Baseball's starting. I was watching preseason baseball today. By the way, your Kansas City Royals blew a 6-run lead in the 7th inning to the Cubs today. So I was all happy about that. But, the next Saturday when we have this tournament game, there's not going to be anything else. Even if UFC's on, I'll watch UFC on tape delay before I will watch it live over this game. This game right here is must-see TV.
So are you telling me that the Coach K historical run is better than the St. Peter's run?
Yeah, look, the Coach K run and look, Coach K, they were a 2 seed. So for a 2 seed to be there in the Final Four, not exactly surprising, but it being Coach K's final season, the way Duke has played in the tournament over the last, I'd say, 8 years or so, it's just they've gone pretty quickly. I mean, they're usually out by the second round in this tournament lately, and they just keep finding a way to lose. They're on a mission. I think that a lot of it is an emotional mission, but I think that there's only one team in this tournament that would be more emotional to beat Coach K than Duke would be to win for Coach K, and that's North Carolina. Yeah. So this game is going to be a 1-point game. It's going to come down to a final shot.
Yeah. So when we look at St. Peter's, yes, it was a great one, just like I said. But at the end of the day, the NCAA wants Duke versus North Carolina in the Final Four. They want Kansas versus Villanova in the Final Four. And then again, they want basically any one of those combination of teams in the championships because sex sells, and this is sexy to me, Combs. Seeing these big blue names on this Final Four, that gets me excited. That gets me intrigued to watch the games. So
more excited than you were right before the show started, or?
Yeah, I'm not gonna lie.
Oh, all right.
No, we're kidding. So guys, so the Final Four is set. We do have Duke versus North Carolina and Kansas versus Villanova. Combs, who do you got winning both of these games?
Look, the championship is going to come down to the winner of Duke versus North Carolina. I think whoever wins this game is going to win the entire tournament. I'm a Duke guy. Duke is my NCAA basketball team. I've rooted for them my entire life when it comes to college basketball. It's just they're that team for me, right? Because look, I come from Chicago. Illinois was trash growing up. Northwestern, I don't even think they had a basketball team while I was growing up. All these, Loyola Chicago, they probably didn't even have a school when I was growing up. Like, there's a lot of these teams that are around now, which I do root for, but Duke's always been my team. And I can't be that guy who picks North Carolina to beat them, especially in this season and what this season means to Duke and that program and Coach Krzyzewski. I've got to roll with my guy, Coach Krzyzewski. I'm going to pick Duke to win it all.
So you are picking Duke to win it all. So basically you are saying if North Carolina beats Duke, North Carolina is going to win it all as well.
Correct.
But I'm going to trump you something here. Think about this. Think about how much emotion is going to go into this Duke North Carolina game. There is going to be so much raw emotion that you are going to be basically expending energy that you don't have at all. And after that game, you are going to collapse on your bed and you're going to pass out for 48 hours. Well, guess what? You can't pass out for 48 hours. You got to wake up 12 hours later and prep for Kansas. So, because I think Kansas is going to beat the Wildcats of Villanova. Man, that just made me really, really, really sick picking Kansas to win there. But I think the winner is going to come from the Villanova Kansas side of the bracket because so much energy is going to be exploited in that Duke North Carolina game. There's going to be so much emotion. There's going to be so much adrenaline running. It just unfortunately you cannot bounce back from that type of game in just a day. So I'm going to pick Kansas to win it all. I think Kansas beats Villanova by 15 or so. It's going to be a blowout. Kansas is a really, really good basketball team. And I do think Duke is going to beat North Carolina in that game, but they're going to lose to Kansas in 7.
Dude, I'm sorry. I got lost there for a second. I got hockey on in the background watching the Wild and the Avalanche. And this guy from the Avalanche just gets blasted with the shoulder to the chest, skating with his head down. And then one of the Avalanche players goes to pick a fight with him because this guy got hit hard, which so what? And then the Avalanche player got his ass kicked for coming to his team's defense.
Speaking of which, did you watch that Flames game? So I was flipping through SportsCenter and I saw the Flames
Today?
versus Calgary. It was last night. The final score was 9-5.
What? I missed that one.
Yeah, it was like a final 9-5 score. It was absolutely crazy.
Holy cow!
But yeah, it was.
You don't see that a whole lot in hockey, man. You don't see that a whole lot in hockey.
I think they said it was the second highest score hockey game ever. So, but we do got some people in the chat here. Javier, what's up, Javier? He says I like North Carolina too, but Duke's coach deserves it. I mean, do you really deserve a championship? Chip? I mean, yes, you coach for like 30 years and you countless Final Fours, but do you really quote deserve a championship?
I mean, God. Yes. I mean, the way that Coach K goes is same thing with Roy Williams, right? Like Roy Williams last night, or I mean, watching the tournament from, in the stands and watching him in the Sweet 16, how excited he is for this North Carolina team shows you that these coaches that are with programs for so long actually genuinely do care about the program. And guys like Coach K deserve to win a title, deserve to go out on top if they have the ability to do so. And Duke certainly does. Now, you look at some of these other coaches that run all over the place and leave a program at the drop of a hat because they can get more money or because they know some penalties are coming so they can dip ship and not have any penalties come their way. Those guys know. But guys like Coach Chesky, Roy Williams, those types of guys, those guys definitely deserve to win.
It's funny that you say Roy Williams deserves to win because he jumped ship to Kansas when they randomly heard some FBI stuff was going to happen. And hello, North Carolina. But we'll digress.
Roy Williams was in North Carolina for what, like 20 years?
Yeah, but he was at Kansas for 20 years too. And they were hiring some strippers. Come on. You know that. There was no way they're running the Big 8 and Big 12 for that many years without buying hookers. Yeah, come on.
So what? It shouldn't have been legal then. It's not illegal now. I mean,
So we see our man Drew in the chat. What's up, Drew? Drew says, "Go Villanova, go Wildcats." So Drew now has 27 teams that he roots for. He's rooting for Villanova and North Carolina. So
I was gonna say, didn't he say go North Carolina earlier too?
Yeah. So Drew is going to have a North Carolina Villanova championship game.
In the championship game.
If it were those two teams, I would have to go with North Carolina because I just don't like Villanova.
I'm asking who would Drew root for? He's rooting for two teams. What if they both play against each other?
But I'm saying I would root for North Carolina in that particular
68
game.
teams in this tournament. How many of those teams do you think Drew was rooting for? 67?
Over under 9.5. I'm going to go with 11.
Yeah, I'm gonna go over 30.
30. Wow.
Drew kind of
Javier says, I'm working, LOL. Let's use those air quotes. I'm working, LOL. But I needed to find for time for my favorite show. We missed you, Javier. Glad to have you back, man. And then he says, I need a vacation. I need a vacation too.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. and then one Pride 40 jumps in the chat says, well, it's because he is.
I think he's talking about our title of our show. Deshaun Watson says he's innocent.
Oh yeah, we'll be talking about that in about 15 minutes here to a half hour. And Javier says, I got money on Duke. Love the coach. So that means Kansas is going to win. Duke loses on Saturday versus North Carolina. Isn't that how it works out for Javier?
Javier's betting on Duke?
Yeah.
Kiss of death.
Yep, kiss of death. And then Michelle pops in. What's up, Michelle? I missed you too, Michelle. I've been working the stupid ass schedule and I rearranged some stuff.
What the hell's going on here?
Don't worry about that. You are her side dude. You see the side boob, I see the full boob. That's how it works.
What is going on here?
And then we have some people talking back and forth. Javi says, you've been drinking before Worth Panthers. What? Oh,
Panthers.
Hockey team.
Oh,
I don't know. I'm not for sure on that.
I have no clue.
I don't know. But anyways, let's move to some football talk columns here, like columns. If you don't mind, do you mind talking about some little bit of NFL?
I never talk. I never mind talking about it at all.
Well, if you were living under a rock last week, Holmes, Tyreek Hill broke the heart of the Kansas City Chiefs. He says, I want more money. I want more money. Hey, speaking of which, I was on TikTok, and every fifth TikTok I seen was Tyreek Hill saying, I need more money. I need more money. I need more money. Man, get the hell out of here. Well, anyways, he got his money. He got a $120 million deal to go with the Miami Dolphins, and he joined forces with Tua and Mike McDaniels, their new head coach there. But Combs, is Miami a legitimate threat in the AFC East?
No. Not as long as Tua is their quarterback. I'm not high on Tua. I think that Tyreek's going to go there and he's going to be excited because he gets to play with Tua and he's this young quarterback who's up and coming. And then Tua's going to overthrow him by 30 yards on every pass that he throws to him. And then all of a sudden Tyreek Hill's going to be upset.
I think you mean underthrow. Underthrow, right?
No, he's going to
Not
overthrow because that's
Always
what that's what he does. He always overthrows his receivers. He's going to find a way. He'll throw it into the stands or something. Like that's just what Tua does. Tua's trash. The Dolphins are still the third best team in this division, even with Tyreek Hill. Plus, at this point in his career, I mean, Tyreek Hill, I don't know that I would have given him all that money. And now that he's paid, I really don't expect him to perform. I'm not sold on Tyreek Hill to the Miami Dolphins. It's not the same as Devontae Adams going to the Raiders for me. It doesn't have the same ring to it. As a matter of fact, I actually like to pick up afterwards that the Chiefs went and got. I think they upgraded with Valdez-Scantling.
I wouldn't say it's an upgrade per se, but it is going to be a long-term upgrade for the Kansas City Chiefs.
You got a guy who can run better routes. You got a guy who doesn't just have to go long, because really Tyreek Hill is a guy who just goes long. And you have a guy who's a good complement to Juju Smith-Schuster on the other side of the ball. I actually think that this was, you know how sometimes you see that star player leave and all of a sudden the team gets better? I think that somehow, I think somehow this is going to go. And I just keep laughing too, just because the Packers keep losing players. And to me, that's amazing.
Yeah. Well, also on the flip side of that, not only did the Chiefs get Marquez Valdez-Scantling, or however you say his name, they got like 18 picks too. So
yeah,
and they freed up like $20 million of like cap space. As so
that
on
was
the
a
surface,
lot. Wasn't that a lot to give up for a wide receiver?
Apparently not for Miami.
5 draft picks for a wide receiver.
Well, how much did Devontae Adams they got? Well, I guess he was a free agent though, right? Or
and then how do you give Tyreek Hill more money than Devontae Adams per year?
I don't know, but Miami Dolphins fans, I know you guys are all excited. I know you're thinking we're going to give it to the AFC East this year. You guys are still the 4th team in this division, not even 3rd. I'm giving you guys 4th team in this division. Why? Because the Patriots are still the Patriots. Yes, I know you guys beat them twice last year. I get it. Well, guess what? Papa Bill is going to come into town and whoop that baby ass, Combsy. Number 2, the Buffalo Bills they've had arguably the best offseason that I have ever seen. They've signed a lot of key pieces, and they are going to be a very, very dangerous team in the AFC. Number 3, the Jets signed Daddy Joe Flacco, as Mr. Zach Wilson likes to call him. My daddy's back in town. He's going to show me how to win some football games. It is great to have a veteran quarterback in there. So with all that being said, I think the hype surrounding the Miami Dolphins is going to be a complete bust for them. It's going to blow up in their face faster than like they can say, "Where's Ryan Fitzpatrick at?" Oh yeah, we traded him to the Miami the Washington Commanders last season, and he's no longer here to bail us out.
And that's where, like, I don't think that the Dolphins. They're still the 3rd best team in there, but even more so, the reason why I think that they're going to lose is this right here. Javier is betting on the Dolphins to make the playoffs and shock the world.
Okay, so hang on here. Baby. Pause right there. So Javier says Miami will make the playoffs and shock the world in Tua. I trust we finally spent the money correctly. So I went and did some next-gen stats, right? I got on my Amazon AWS, tinkered in some numbers, bada bing, bada boom, bada ba 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 boo, right? So you guys signed Tyreek Hill, right? Tyreek Hill is most effective in short yards passing situations when there's like 3rd and 18 to go. You dump him off in like a little slant, and he's able to juke and jab his way up the field, or for a 15-plus yard pass down the field. So in 2020, which was Tua's rookie year, Combs averaged 5.5 yards in the air. So that means his passes were only traveling 5 yards in the air, getting to his receivers. In 2021, last season, when he was a full-time starter, it was only 7 yards. So you have the speed of Tyreek Hill and Jalen Waddle, and we're going to air raid this crazy ball down the field, right, and do great things. Well, Tua is only averaging 7 yards in the air, and Mike McDaniels, the San Francisco 49ers head coach from last season, offensive coordinator from last season, they only averaged 4.5 yards in the air. So what makes you think Miami Dolphins thinks that you guys are going to start airing the ball 15, 20 yards down the field? You guys are absolutely asinine for this. So when you think about that, think about this. You have a very conservative head coach. He is left wing 100%. He identifies as a black man. So therefore, I'm just playing. But we saw what the San Francisco 49ers did, Combs. They nickeled and dimed you down the field 100%. They were not looking for that big play. Tua only throws the ball 7 yards in the air on average per play. So what is the addition of Tyreek Hill really going to do for you?
He doesn't have the weapons around him. That's why I think they're overrated. My favorite part about this thing, though, is he says, "In Tua, I trust." And then he says in his next comment, "Combs, you could quarterback the Dolphins." So do you trust Tua or can I quarterback the Dolphins? Because I'm telling you right now,
or is he saying that team is so
lose as many games, if not more, than Tua does?
Or is he saying that the team is so built good around him that you can plug any play quarterback in there? Which I think that is a complete false statement there.
Look, I could throw an NFL football probably about 20 yards on the fly. So I mean, it's 15 yards more than Tua. So I mean,
so Javier says Tua is one of the most accurate quarterbacks and the best young head coaches. How can you say he's the best young head coach? He hasn't even coached the NFL game yet. Come on, man. You know better than that.
How? Tua is one of the most accurate young quarterbacks in the league. Is that a real statement right now?
Is that with the 65% completion rating last season, or the 64% for the?
It was 67.8%.
Yeah,
and he had a 90.1 passer rating. I think there's probably about 14 or 15 quarterbacks in the league that are better than that.
Hurts is one of them. I mean, Hurts is terrible. Lamar Jackson completion percentage is better than that, and he is complete trash.
Yeah, I can't agree with you there, Javi. I love you, but I can't agree with you on that statement. I mean, I won't go as far as saying Jalen Hurts is better. I won't take Buck's route, but I mean,
no, I didn't say that. I said he had a better completion percentage. That's what I said.
I bet you if you look him up, he's barely at 60% or just under 60%. I don't know. I wouldn't say he's there, that. But I would venture to say that I would not say he's one of the most accurate passers in the league, and I think that's just I think it's just a Dolphins fan being excited about a quarterback. But I mean, the guy didn't he throw like 10 interceptions last year?
Yeah, that's what I saw. Yep, 10 interceptions last season.
So yeah, I don't know. I won't put it.
So I have completion percentage pulled up here as soon as it loads here. So number one is Tom Brady. No, that is completions. My bad. Where's completion percentage? I don't guess I can't pull up completion percentage. I don't know. I digress from that. I got nothing. All right. So Combs, you were saying that the Miami Dolphins are third best in that division. So who do you have in last place? The Buffalo Bills?
Shut up. The Jets.
Oh,
the Bills are the best. The Patriots are coming up right behind them, and then the Dolphins and the Jets.
Let me tell you this. If Miami Dolphins do win this division, like Javier is like I say, and they win the division and they got home field in the playoff games, right? Number two is going to be the Patriots no matter what. Like, I don't think they'll win the division, but I don't think they'll be worse than third. I think they're firm put at number two. So that puts the Buffalo Bills at number three.
Here's how firm I am that the Miami Dolphins did not get any better with the Tyreek Hill signing. If the Miami Dolphins make the playoffs like Javier is suggesting, I will paint the Miami Dolphins logo on my chest and do the show with the Miami Dolphins logo painted on my chest.
I don't think anybody wants to see that.
For the entire show. Actually, I'll put it on my belly so that way it looks 3D.
Nice. So obviously Tyreek Hill Combs did go to Miami. How big a loss was this for the Kansas City Chiefs? I know you kind of tinkled a little bit saying they got better possibly, but really, how big a loss is this for the Chiefs?
I don't think it's that big of a loss. Again, I think you go from a one-trick pony to a bunch of guys who can do different things. And I think that opens up more options for your offense. I think it opens up more options for Patrick Mahomes to do more things, things that he's good. Look, Patrick Mahomes can throw a nice deep ball. I'll give him that. But look, Patrick Mahomes is at his best when he's on the run, when he's making plays happen, when he's doing things short yardage. He's not at his best when he's just throwing the ball 60 yards down the field. Now, every once in a while, because you're so worried about him making plays and doing things, you can get a guy who's open 60 yards downfield and he's got a cannon so he can make that throw. But I don't think this is a huge loss. I actually think that they got better by subtracting Tyreek Hill. And I mean, I think you were going to draw a lot more double teams on Travis Kelce, but I think that's going to open up Valdez-Scantling and Juju Smith-Schuster to do more as well.
Yeah. So just to piggyback on what you said, so I pulled up the stats here. So every completion of Patrick Mahomes for 30+ yards was outside of the pocket. So that means 90% of the time when he rolls out of the pocket, it is usually scrambling, and that's when they complete their big plays down the field. Why are they having to complete these big plays down the field? One, the offensive line was terrible, and two, that's the only route that Tyreek Hill can run effectively is the 27 move route. I'm going to do the hokey pokey and turn myself around and then run down the field for 60 yards. That is what made Tyreek Hill so effective. So when we flash back to 2021 and 2020 and 2019, and when people had Tyreek Hill as a top 5 receiver, I'm sitting here thinking like, man, I watch the Chiefs every week. He is not that good. Yes, he has explosive plays. Yes, he's fast, but he is really not that good. If you had a line to protect Patrick Mahomes the last 2 seasons, Tyreek Hill wouldn't be as good as he is because he would be getting the ball quicker to Travis Kelce, to McCole Hardman, to Byron Pringle, and all those other boys. So you are exactly right, Combs. The Chiefs got a lot better by subtracting Tyreek Hill because he was starting to become a cancer on the team. Look at that playoff game when they played not the Buffalo Bills but the one before that. Who they play in the first round? I can't even remember. Was it the Colts? No, I can't remember. Yeah, I can't.
No,
even
it wasn't the
remember.
Colts got knocked out because they
Yeah,
didn't beat
like
the Jaguars.
no, I can't even remember who they played in the first round. But you saw Tyreek Hill and McCole Hardman arguing on the sideline because Tyreek Hill wasn't getting the ball more. Like they're just bickering back and forth. Tyreek Hill was starting to become Antonio Brown. I said it. Tyreek Hill was starting to become Antonio Brown. That is why he is gone.
Yeah. I don't know that Tyreek. I kind of agree with Michelle here, with Michelle's comment where she says he's at his best when his wife and brother are not at the game. I agree with him there. When
is that Patrick? No, that's Patrick Mahomes. Yeah.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
No.
I just don't. I believe that Tyreek Hill is he's just not that. He's the wide receiver form of Devin Hester, right?
Yep.
He's the wide receiver
one-trick
form
pony,
of Devin
right?
Hester. All you can do is one thing, and when you shut him down on that one thing, he's irrelevant. And so, if you've got a safety over the top playing on him all game long, if you've got your cornerback playing off of him all game long, and you're not giving him any space to just run straight down the field, he's irrelevant. And with a quarterback like Tua, he's going to be irrelevant. It's just how it goes.
Yeah. So let me ask you this question: would you be saying the same thing if Tyreek Hill would have went to the Chicago Bears? Because I kind of see Justin Fields and Tua kind of as the same quarterback, right? I mean, they're still very young, still trying to find their way. So he would have put a very egotistic wide receiver in Chicago, would you still be talking the same way
I
about him?
I was very hopeful that the Bears were going to go out and make that move, and Ryan Poles was going to go get Tyreek Hill. But once I saw the contract that Tyreek Hill got, I would not have wanted him on the Bears for that amount of money. However, I do think that when you say that Tua and I was going to say Deshaun Watson, when you say that Tua and Justin Fields are the same quarterback, I highly disagree with you. I think Tua does not have the arm that Justin Fields has. Tua is not as intelligent as Justin Fields is, and Tua is not the same quarterback that Justin Fields is. I just highly disagree with you there. I think it would have been a different story for Tyreek Hill. I think it would have made a little bit of a difference for the Chicago Bears in this little type of rebuild, retool. But for the amount of money that they paid him, I didn't want the Bears to come to anywhere near that. 4 years at 80 would have been about as much as I'd have been willing to go.
Yeah, like even then, like I feel like there needs to be a max contract for a player like at this point. So when we look at the Miami Dolphins here, they give up 5 picks, $120 million over the next 4 years. Are they in a must-win now mode? Like, do they have to win now, or their season is a complete wash?
God, I don't know that they're in win now mode. I think that they believe that their window is open right now. I just don't see it. I like Jalen Waddle. I really do. I don't like him with Tua as his quarterback. I like some of the weapons that they have. I like their running backs. I like those types of guys. But I'm just not sold on Tua. I'm not sold on Miami Dolphins as a whole, as a team. And so I don't think that the Miami Dolphins are going to be anything special.
Yeah, if they were in the NFC, they would be a playoff bound team. We would probably be talking about them as a top 5 team in the NFC. But the fact is they're in the AFC. They're not even the best team in their division, and even if they go 10-6 or 10-7, Combs, they might miss the playoffs still because the AFC is so freaking stacked. Like that is just the way it is. It just I don't know. So
yeah,
I gotta sneeze. Give me a second. Go for it.
So yeah, the NFC. If they were in the NFC East, yes, I agree with you. If they're in the NFC East, I think that this team could probably win their division. Even then, I'd be a little hesitant because I still think that the Washington Commanders, Washington not Redskins anymore, fuck it. The Washington Redskins are still a better team than the Miami Dolphins are right now.
So you're saying Carson Wentz is a top 10 quarterback, huh?
I didn't say that at all.
Oh, I thought that's what I heard.
I said the Redskins are a better team than the Dolphins.
So Carson Wentz is a top 10 quarterback.
No. Carson Wentz is a top 25 quarterback. I'll give him that.
So Dalen pops in the chat here, says, I don't know. Fields is kind of middle. No offense.
Fields is kind of mid because of his rookie season, right? What kind of rookie season did he have last year? Who was his head coach last year? What were the weapons around him? What was his offensive line like? I bet if you had put him in the same situation that Tua was in last year, you would have had a completely different view of who Justin Fields is. Somebody with an offensive line, somebody with a wide receiver around him, somebody with a head coach who just wasn't so in love with himself that he didn't know how to alter his game plan. That would have been a different story in Miami. But I highly disagree. I think that once Justin Fields gets settled, I mean, we got to see what Eberflus brings, right? We got to see what this new regime for the Bears brings before we put judgment on Justin Fields. I feel bad for the kid right now. Look, as a Bears fan, I feel bad for the kid because I just don't know where his career sits. And I think that because of who is in charge of him right now, or who was in charge of him at least last year, I think that you're looking at a guy who was just in a bad situation, who is probably a lot better than what he looks right now because of the situation that he's in.
So let me ask you this question here. Since we're kind of talking about Miami, we are talking about your Chicago Bears, a quarterback comes to mind by the name of Ryan Tannehill. Ryan Tannehill was going to be deemed a bust in Miami. He was behind Adam Gase, the offensive guru that like he is.
He's still a bust.
And like Ryan Tannehill just looks terrible. Then he got traded to Tennessee, and now he's probably a top 15 quarterback in the league.
No, he's not.
Is it going to take Justin Fields to get traded to a different team to really see his true potential? Just because, basically the rookie year was a wash. So now he is a year or two behind the 8 ball with a new GM, new head coach, new offensive coordinator. Is he going to have to be traded to a team, spend a year or spend 6 games as a backup and then become a starter? Is he going to have to do that to see the true Justin Fields?
So first things first, okay. You need to review some game tape on Ryan Tannehill. Okay. Yeah, Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback that he is because King Henry is his running back. Ryan Tannehill is the quarterback that he is because they don't throw the ball a lot in Tennessee, because they don't give him a chance to lose the game. And we saw firsthand what happens when they do that in the playoffs. They lose a game. Ryan Tannehill he is behind the list. He is behind Carson Wentz, and I just said Carson Wentz is top 25, maybe. Ryan Tannehill is a joke. So don't ever talk about Ryan Tannehill like he's not a bust, because that's exactly what he is. Now, Justin Fields is one of those guys who, you're right. I mean, look, the jury's out on him. And it might be one of those things, if the Bears can't figure this thing out under Ryan Poles, under Matt Eberflus, if they can't figure this thing out and get this thing right for Justin Fields, then you might be right. He might need to go somewhere else in order to show exactly how good he is. As a matter of fact, we might see that this year alone with Mitch Trubisky.
I didn't even think about that. I mean, because Mitchell Trubisky has now been a year out of the league, or as a backup, right? And then going to the he went to the Steelers, right?
Yeah,
maybe. I got Steezy.
So Mitch Trubisky to the Steelers. I mean, look, Mitch Trubisky's obviously going to be the starter there in Pittsburgh, right?
Well, I hear rumors that they are going to draft a quarterback. It could be that guy from Liberty, Malik. What's his last name? So would you put him in a head-to-head?
They didn't give Trubisky a 2-year deal to make him compete for the job in year 1. You think?
I don't know. I mean, sometimes as a professional athlete, when he is going into a 6 year as a league, sometimes you just need a little bit of fluff in your contract to actually make you go to a team, and that is a great insurance. What?
You think he's going to get the Matt Flynn treatment? Like Matt Flynn got, he got that big contract, and then all of a sudden that was Russ Wilson, right? That beat him out in Seattle.
Yeah, I do believe so.
Yeah.
So he obviously is going, like, as if you look at the roster right now, obviously he'd be listed as a starter. Yes, 100%. But after the draft, after training camp, after the first preseason game, if they do draft Malik to the Pittsburgh Steelers, I think that is a match made in heaven. To be honest, I mean, I don't think that he'll be a world beater, a MVP, or like anything like that.
Is he even going to be available by the time the Steelers pick?
I don't even know when the Steelers pick, but
I don't think they picked till like 19th.
He could be, because if we look at this class, it is very defensive dominated. If we look at the teams toward the top of the draft, what they need defensive side of the ball. And then there are wide receivers as well that are going to be drafted higher than him as well. So will he fall down to 19? Probably not. But if the Steelers really want him, they could jump to probably 13 or 14 to really get that quarterback.
Man, that's interesting. If they do that, because I do know a lot of people were extremely excited about his pro day. He threw like a 60-yard strike on the dot to a receiver running in the open air with no defenders and no pass rush. So people got all excited about that. And it wouldn't surprise me if a guy like, God, I'm gonna forget his name now, the Steelers head coach, gets all excited about Mike Tomlin gets all excited about something like that, and they give him a chance. And I mean, God, I just can't. Poor Trubisky if that happens, man.
I don't think Tomlin is the type of coach to get excited about a 60-yard throw with no helmets or no pads. Tomlin is the type of guy that sees you in the trenches and gets pissed off, and that's when he gets excited. Like I feel Mike Tomlin could care less about how fast you run your 40, how well you throw scripted plays in your pro day. He wants to see film. He wants to see you losing 21-19 with 14 sacks left and see if you can drive down the field. I believe
Mike Tomlin reminds me of one of those guys who's only happy when he's angry.
Oh yeah, like. Isn't that every Steelers head coach? I mean, Cowher. I mean,
yeah.
Did you ever see Cowher smile? Like, let's just be honest. When he was on the football field, he was always picking his nose and.
Yeah. I mean, maybe after they won the Super Bowl, he had a little bit of a smile there. But yeah,
no. Even then, he's like, man, we could do better next year.
Yeah, wouldn't surprise me.
So another thing that surprised me was Marcus Mariota to Atlanta. Obviously, Matty Ice was traded to Colts with not even an hour has passed, and Marcus Mariota goes to Atlanta. Does Marcus Mariota make Atlanta better than Matt Ryan?
This is kind of a loaded question. I don't think that he makes them better. I think he kind of keeps them where they're at. I think Marcus Mariota is just a younger version of Matt Ryan. And so I guess the jury's out. There were a bunch of people that loved Mariota when he was with the Raiders. They said his work ethic, the way he worked, the way he looked. They felt like Mariota could have taken over that team for Derek Carr had he needed to. But you're going to Atlanta, who no longer has Julio Jones. You're going to Atlanta, who their top wide receiver is suspended for the season. You're going to Atlanta where they don't really have a run game. Their offensive line is kind of terrible, and they have no defense. So at least, look, they have a defense for 3 quarters out of 4 quarters of a football game. But I can't see a scenario where Marcus Mariota instantly makes them better unless they're going to go out and do a whole lot more through free agency and the draft. And I just don't think that's going to happen. So I think he puts them exactly at the same spot that they would have been at with Matt Ryan. I don't really think that anybody in the league really could have made them a playoff team short of like Tom Brady or Deshaun Watson or something.
Alrighty, Combs. So I sit here and I ponder thoughts. Right, the Atlanta Falcons went 7-10 last year with Matt Ryan at the helm.
Mm-hmm.
They didn't make the playoffs in their mid-level draft pick as well. They traded away Matt Ryan to get Marcus Mariota in the end. Let's just be honest about it. Basically, the only reason why they got Marcus Mariota is because they're tired of being middle of the draft picks. They want to be a number 1 overall pick, and that's why they got Marcus Mariota. So did they get better? No, they got a hell of a lot worse because Marcus Mariota is the worst quarterback I have seen in the NFL in a very, very long time. Yes, he did good things in Cincinnati. Oh, he handed the ball off to King Henry, right?
You mean Tennessee?
Yeah, right. But and then exactly what you said, he could have filled in for Derek Carr if the time needed, yada, yada, yada. That's what a backup quarterback's supposed to be. Marcus Mariota is a backup quarterback in the NFL. Who is the quarterback that's like still like 55 years old and like been on like 17 teams? I think he's the Colts, like the Colts backup quarterback, or no, sorry, the Cardinals backup quarterback now. Colt McCoy, right?
McCoy, yeah.
That's exactly who Marcus Mariota is. He can plug it in for three or four games and not let you go 0-3. The only reason why the Falcons got Marcus Mariota is because they want a number 1 draft pick next year for a quarterback. That's it. That's the only reason why they got Marcus Mariota, Combs.
Yeah, well, look, Marcus Mariota is one of those. He's only completed, I think, more than 62% of his passes once in his career, and I want to say he had one season where he threw more interceptions than he did touchdowns, and he played that full season. I think it was something like 13 touchdowns to like 17 interceptions or something, or 16 interceptions, somewhere in that area. And I mean, I believe that same season, I think his passer rating was like a 79.8. And I think that was 2017. It wasn't that long ago that happened. So, like, that's not a guy that I think can turn around a franchise. I mean, unless some miracle happened, unless like he went to Vegas and some switch flipped for him, learning under Derek Carr. I can't imagine that he's going to fare any better in Atlanta.
Well, let's look at this Atlanta roster, right? They have names that I cannot pronounce whatsoever, since I'm really good at that. But Kyle Pitts is really their only offensive like weapon, period. Oh, I guess you got Cordell Patterson, but
yeah, but Cordell Patterson is one of those guys who he's a what do they call it? Like the guy on New Orleans there, who's just a gimmick guy, right? And Cordero Patterson is actually listed as a running back. They've got that Zacchaeus guy, and Kadero Hodge are going to be their top two wide receivers. Like who? Like and their whole offensive line is just, it's terrible.
Wouldn't this be awesome?
I don't understand where people think that Marcus Mariota to the Falcons makes them better.
So I know we got our man Javier in the chat listening tonight. Thank you, Javier. But the backup quarterback in Atlanta is Felipe Franks. I believe he went to Miami. Let that guy start. Give Javier some love. If you guys want a number one overall pick, Felipe will get you guys there. Come on.
Felipe, look, that's the thing. Like, who's going to push him? Who's going to push Marcus Mariota? Felipe Franks? I feel. Look,
he went to Arkansas.
About, like, how I feel.
I thought he went to Miami.
Who?
What? That Felipe Franks.
No.
ESPN saying he went to Arkansas. Who was the Miami quarterback? I thought his name was Felipe.
I have no clue.
My bad.
Miami Hurricane football hasn't been relevant in 20 plus years.
Shoot, longer than that.
Sorry, Javier, but it's
early
true.
90s. That's 30 years ago, Combs.
Look, if you feel bad about anybody, I feel bad about Kyle Pitts. That guy is a freaking monster, and he is a weapon of mass destruction on a football field. And he's got Marcus Mariota or Felipe Franks as an option to throw to him. That's not a good deal for Kyle Pitts.
Well, speaking of options, Matt Ryan has got some options, and they're trying to get Julio Jones to come to Indy. Does Julio Jones and Matt Ryan to Indy make them a playoff contender?
One more thing on Atlanta: if they don't go get another quarterback, if they don't get somebody else to go in there, then if I'm Calvin Ridley, I go and bet on another football game. I'm not playing next year either. But yeah, look, Julio Jones of the Colts, kind of a reunion with Matt Ryan. I mean, sure, is it good for the, sentimental value? Possibly, but is it good for your football team? No. I mean, but what do you mean? Why not? It's
Julio Jones.
It's not 2014.
He's good.
It's not 2014. Hell, maybe even if it was 2016, 2017, I would say yes. But this is 2022. Julio Jones is washed up. Matt Ryan is washed up. Now, what I will give them is that Matt Ryan going over to Indianapolis has a much improved offensive line, has a much improved running game, and has much improved weapons going to Indianapolis from Atlanta. If you add Julio Jones to that and give him some sentimental and they can find a spark, possibly it could be a good thing. But I wouldn't hedge my bets on it. I wouldn't say, hey, look, hey Combs, put all this money down on Matt Ryan and Julio Jones to be a top 5 duo this season between quarterback
I'm not
and wide
saying
receiver.
I'm not saying they'll be a top 5 duo because you have Michael Pittman Jr. that is clearly the number 1 receiver in Indy. But then we get to that number 2 range, and Paris Campbell comes in at their second receiver. But I think Julio Jones would be a great 1-2 punch with Michael Pittman Jr. and that great tight end that they have in Mo Alley Cox. I mean,
don't they got T.Y. Hilton, or is he a free agent?
He is technically a free agent as of right now, but I the rumors are I think he's going to retire. So even without T.Y. Hilton, Julio Jones becomes a number 2 receiver there, and T.Y. Hilton would be a number 3
Paris
receiver.
Campbell, yeah, Paris Campbell is really nice. They also signed Kiki Kuti in the offseason. So I like a lot of those wide receivers. I like Paris Campbell. I like what he brings to the table. I like Michael Pittman Jr. I would say if you bring Julio Jones in, he might be your third. He might be a slot guy. He might be a guy
even then a 6'7" receiver that can jump for big balls in the end zone.
Yeah,
that's what Matt Ryan and Julio Jones could not do in Atlanta was find the end zone. They got a lot of yards, a lot of catches. You put a 6'5", 6'6" receiver in the end zone with Matt Ryan and Michael Pittman single coverage him with a 5'9" quarterback. The Colts are going to be good if they get Julio Jones.
I think the Colts are going to lose to Jacksonville, miss the playoffs again.
Wow. Speaking of missing playoffs, the Cleveland Browns historically missed the playoffs last season. Again, we had Super Bowl apparitions, but Deshaun Watson was officially introduced as a Cleveland Brown, and he still says, I have never assaulted a woman, Combs. He has never assaulted a woman. Do you even believe him anymore?
Yes, I believe him. I believe from the start that this was all orchestrated by the owner of the Houston Texans. I believe that this was a quarterback who wanted out, a quarterback who embarrassed his owner, a quarterback who embarrassed the organization as well as he should have because they are trash. And then the owner wanted revenge. So this is all of a sudden this whole story breaks, right? And all of a sudden, you go out and the person pressing charges, you find out is friends with the owner, and then the girls that are there have been paid by the owner at some point or another. So I believe him. I believe that Deshaun Watson is innocent in this case. I believe this is a case of this is the reason why. Look, a grand jury told you there wasn't enough evidence to convict him criminally. So he did nothing criminally to these women, and there's still a civil suit. So basically, they want money. And I believe Deshaun Watson in this instance. I'm not about victim shaming. I'm not about, if a guy does this, blah, blah, blah. I don't think he did this. If it comes out that he did, I'll apologize. I don't think he did this. I think he is 100% telling the truth. I think that Houston was trying to smear him. I think the owner was running a smear campaign. And I think that this was just a vendetta against Deshaun Watson. I believe he's innocent. And I don't think that if the league suspends him, I'm going to be upset.
Well, obviously, I think a suspension is coming somehow, some way, whether it be 2 games or six games. A suspension is coming. Well, why? Because he put a bad name on the.
He didn't do anything. He didn't put a bad name on it to suspend the Texans owner.
Well,
the Texans owner put a bad name on it. How can you suspend a guy for being falsely accused of something?
It happens all the time. The NFL is a react first league and then worry about it later. Let's look at the Ray Rice thing. He was suspended for 2 games before anything came out whatsoever. It was all here's but
then the evidence came out.
Well,
and then...
yeah, but at the same time, he was suspended for 2 games before anything ever came out. So with that being said. There has been a second grand jury that is looking into the Deshaun Watson thing, which I feel like if a first grand jury says you did nothing wrong, and now a second grand jury is going to say something, what is the Houston Texans owner doing? It like is he bitter that he lost Deshaun Watson? Like, who is he paying to get this to happen?
Yeah, I don't know what the deal is there. I don't know what's going on. I think that again, I think from the start this has been an attempt to make Deshaun Watson pay for not wanting to play for the Houston Texans any longer. But I don't know. I don't know what the owner is doing. I don't know what's going on out there. This whole thing from the beginning has reeked of BS, though. The whole thing. And I there's just something about it that's left a bad taste in my mouth the entire damn time. No pun intended. And I think that Deshaun Watson is innocent, and I don't think he should be suspended for anything. You can't suspend a guy for being innocent. Like it makes no sense. And if you're the Cleveland Browns, you're hoping that that's the case because you just paid this whole guy a whole lot of money, and to have him be out for 4 to 6 games would be completely harmful to your team.
So did Deshaun Watson leave a sour taste in your mouth?
Not my mouth.
Oh, okay. I'm just so it was.
I don't give massages.
So I asked this question to Luke G last week when you were MIA. I said, would it make sense to keep Baker Mayfield as a backup on the Cleveland Browns if you know that Deshaun Watson is going to get suspended for 4 to 5 or 6 games in this 2022 NFL season? Would you keep Baker Mayfield on your team because of that?
No, because Baker Mayfield's not going to be happy. And putting a quarterback out there who is not happy is just a recipe for disaster. I would not keep him. I'm trading him somewhere. I don't know where, but I'm doing something to get something for Baker Mayfield because keeping him it'd be bad for the locker room. It would be bad for the organization. It would be bad for the quarterback room. It would be bad for Deshaun Watson. It would be bad for Baker Mayfield. Like it's just a bad situation all the way around. So no, I would not keep Baker Mayfield if I'm the Cleveland Browns.
See, and I'm on the flip side of that. I think that would make Baker Mayfield hungry. But like, you know what, Deshaun, come take my job. This is my job until you take it away from me. I think Baker Mayfield would ball out those 6 games. We are going to see a Baker Mayfield with a man on a mission, raising up his trade value 100%. But you are correct. It is absolutely stupid for the Browns to keep him because it is a lose-lose situation for him. One, let's say he does ball out and does a great job. It raises his trade value, right? Who is going to give you 2 first-round picks for Baker Mayfield, right? Number 2, it does probably create that toxic environment, kind of like that vendetta type of thing. So it's kind of crazy. But where do you think Deshaun Watson lands? Because he already said the Carolina Panthers have already kind of said no, we don't want you. And I think there's only 4 teams really out there that really want him. And Seattle Seahawks is at the top of the list. Where do you think Baker Mayfield lands?
I think Seattle would be a good landing spot for him. I think that, man, I'm trying to think off the top of my head. I think that how about the Pittsburgh Steelers? How about the San Francisco 49ers? I know they are in the market for a new quarterback. The Titans would be a good landing spot for him. I would part with Ryan Tannehill to get Baker Mayfield in there. Trying to think of some other teams that maybe even Minnesota. How about the New York Giants or the Philadelphia Eagles? Those are some spots that already have quarterbacks, but they'd be upgrading with Baker Mayfield, wouldn't they?
Yeah, and like in theory, but they have no weapons around them whatsoever. But I think the logical choice here is, yes, I know your boy just signed a pretty good deal with the Saints, but the New Orleans Saints makes sense. I mean, Jameis can't stay healthy. I mean, he's been injured. He throws a lot of interceptions. They have a new head coach.
See, that's another thing. Like Baker Mayfield's not going to want to go into a situation where he's going to have to compete. Baker Mayfield wants to be a starter, and he should be a starter wherever he goes.
Are you telling me in Seattle he's not going to have to battle for Drew Lock for the starting spot?
No, he's 10 times better than Drew Lock.
Really?
Yeah. 10 times better than Drew Lock. He
I
would
would
win
be
that battle
intrigued to
every
watch
day of the
that.
week. He would win that battle every day of the week.
The biggest knock of Drew Lock is one, he can't stay healthy, and he has a new offensive coordinator every year that he plays. So
Here's teams that he would make better that already have quarterback. He would make the Miami Dolphins better. They already have a quarterback, but he's better than Tua. He would make the Jets better because he's better than Zach Wilson. He would make the Giants better because he's better than Danny Dimes. He doesn't trip over the 20-yard line. He's better than Jalen Hurts in Philadelphia. Pittsburgh is interesting to me because I think that he would beat out Mitch Trubisky. But again, I don't think that you bring either one of those guys in telling them, hey, you're going to have to compete for the starting job. I don't think that would go over well with either one of them. Carolina Panthers make sense, but clearly they don't want him. The Houston Texans make sense. And really, that's about it. I mean, the Seattle Seahawks, obviously, too. But those are the teams where Baker Mayfield instantly makes them better.
really, instantly makes them better.
Yeah.
Wow. I have to sit down and ponder that, and we'll talk about that tomorrow. But man, that kind of intrigues me a little bit. But let's go ahead and shift gears 100% and talk some Major League Baseball, Combs. So Major League Baseball is officially back in swing now. On opening day is April 7th. Was that a week and a half away or so? A couple days before my birthday. Actually, pretty excited about that. Man, I can see it again. Give me a second.
So with Major League Baseball, I did see that there's a lot of teams. I've been watching a lot of spring training baseball. As you know, I'm a big baseball guy, so I'll watch every single day of the week. And one of the things that I've really noticed over the last, I don't know, probably 3 weeks or so, after they signed this collective bargaining agreement, and watching what the Cincinnati Reds did with their team was just absolutely disgusting. I mean, they were a team that probably could have competed for the Central Division with a payroll of slightly over like $70 million. And they could have competed and won the National League Central. I would have picked them to win that National League Central. And then they just traded away guys for nothing, basically. And it was very confusing to me. And then I had a source send me some inside information here as to what each team is spending per year and what they're doing this year, even with their retained numbers, even with their injured reserve numbers, even with the numbers that they have buried. The numbers are astonishing to me. You've got 10 teams in the league. 10 teams in the league that their entire payroll is going to be less than what the payroll of the I can't remember the two players. It was Mike Trout and Carlos Correa. Those two combined are going to make more money than 10 teams' full rosters. And those 10 teams are the Cincinnati Reds, the Seattle Mariners, the Kansas City Royals, the Tampa Bay Rays, the Arizona Diamondbacks, the Miami Marlins, the Oakland A's, the Cleveland Guardians, the Pittsburgh Pirates, and the Baltimore Orioles. And to not force these owners to spend money is the problem that baseball is having. And I've said this time and time again. I don't know how many times have you heard me say it, Buck, but baseball needs to have a salary floor. Not a salary cap, but they need to have a floor, because the only way you're going to get anybody to compete and to be where they are, they have to spend money. And I was working the numbers. I was talking with our boy Wayne G about the numbers. He loves numbers. And he came up with something of a $134 million cap with a $125 million floor. And each team could currently work out like the big players. Mike Trout would still make the same amount of money. Your big contracts would still be the same amount of money, and owners would still pull in the same percentage of money that they made. Like, that to me is the growing problem with the sport. When you've got places like the Pittsburgh Pirates, who have a great fan base, the Baltimore Orioles, who have a great fan base, being the bottom two teams in the league, spending money is absolutely ridiculous. And then when you look at the numbers, go ahead. I'm going to ask. So here, we'll go mid-range. The Cubs are right in the middle. They are 3, which is gross in itself because they are a top 4 grossing team in the league with $3.4 billion. But the Chicago Cubs have a payroll of $123 million this season. Okay. Where do you think the Pittsburgh Pirates and the Baltimore Orioles are at? If you had to guess.
I do know that they are at least a bottom 5 because if I remember correctly, I saw the Pirates
they're
are the lowest and the Orioles, and then
they're the bottom 2.
Yeah.
But how much money do you think they're spending? Cubs are at $123 million. They're in the middle.
Shoot, I would probably say $5 or $6 million.
No, it's higher than that. I'll give you that. I'm surprised that it's higher than that, but it's higher than that. The Pittsburgh Pirates are spending $35 million this year on salary. The Baltimore Orioles are spending $30 million. Do you know how much money those teams are expected to gross in income?
Not a clue.
$1.2 billion. $1.2 billion, and they're paying out $35 and $30 million respectively. Like, how can you as an organization sell to your fans, come out to the ballpark, invest in our team? How are kids in those areas in Baltimore, in Pittsburgh, in Cleveland, how are kids in those areas supposed to get engaged with a game when you're not spending any money to bring in any notable names to sell them on that?
Yeah.
Like, I don't understand what is going on. And baseball, to me, needs to get it together. They need to figure it out. They need to do something, because these 10 teams that are on this list, between the Cincinnati Reds, who they just went from 100 and I believe it was 142 million down to 90 million. The Seattle Mariners, who are at 85 million. Kansas City Royals, who are at 77 million. Tampa Bay Rays at 64 million. The Arizona Diamondbacks at 71, the Miami Marlins at 55, the Oakland A's at 38, and the Cleveland Guardians at 35. Pittsburgh Pirates at 35, and their payroll of that is actually only 22 million, I should say. The other that they have in there is the retained. So that's how much money they brought back from last year's roster, was $3 million.
So let me ask you this question. Let me be devil's advocate here. So if we have a salary cap basement, right?
Yep.
But no salary cap ceiling, doesn't that still make the richer teams richer in the end, and they can buy more players? Like, how does it help the bottom tier teams? It doesn't. It just gets more or less. Puts less money in my pocket.
If you want to say no ceiling, I mean, that's fine. But I mean, look, at some point, owners aren't going to continue to go higher than what they're at right now, right? Because higher than what you're at right now, then you start losing money. And look, we all know owners aren't about to lose money. So the payroll would stay about where it's at right now. But what you do is you bring up the floor, and you have more players with more talent getting paid more money. And it's so look. Every team in the league has a 40-man roster. The 40-man roster is your major league roster. 40 guys, right? And this year, the Pittsburgh Pirates are paying out $22 million to 40 guys. I mean, that's gross. That is absolutely disgusting.
Well, but also on the flip side of the coin, you have a large market team like the New York Yankees that have like a $180 million like that they're paying, right? Yeah.
So, well, the New York Yankees are paying. They're third on the list. They're paying out $220 million on their payroll. The New York Mets are paying out $249 million, and the Los Angeles Dodgers are paying out $234 million. Right now, the New York Mets have the highest payroll on their roster.
So basically, what I'm saying is, I agree with you that you you have to spend at least X amount of money every year. But the Major League Baseball needs a hard salary cap as well. Like, you cannot spend over X amount as well. That will bring parity across the Major League 100%. Because what makes the NFL so good is that every team can only spend X amount of dollars, right? So Major League Baseball does have that salary cap, but they pay the luxury tax, which teams like the Yankees and the Dodgers and whoever else is likes up there, they don't care. As long as they get their guy, they don't care how much luxury tax they have to spend. Make it a hard salary cap in the end, just because that will make teams and the bottom tier that more competitive, Combs. Because Major League Baseball, what it lacks right now is you have your middle-class teams, and then you have your Dodgers, Yankees, Boston, like, etc. There is a reason why Derek Jeter is no longer owner of the Mariners, because he realized, it's like, man, I cannot compete with these teams ever. I don't care how many good young players I get. The Yankees are going to buy them from me in 5 years anyway. So it is what you have to have a salary cap. You have to have a salary cap, and you have to have a salary basement for all major league teams, and that will make Major League Baseball much more competitive. We will stop seeing all these dumping players after All-Star break, because let's just be honest. Once July hits, you will see about 9 teams rise to the top, and then all those teams get all the players from the other teams, and then it is what it is.
I'd be fine with a salary cap. I'd be fine if they went with the NBA payroll structure, where you have to have, where you have max contracts, where you have this, where you have that. I just think that there is a lot of parity in baseball. Major League Baseball has a lot of parity throughout the top 15 teams, right? But once you drop below that, I mean, it's really, really bad baseball. And when you're trying to grow a sport, when you're trying to bring young kids in, this is why we don't see so many American-born players. We talk about the black athletes in the NFL. This is why we don't have American-born black athletes playing baseball. It's because there's no, when you go to rural areas, you go to cities like Cleveland, you go to cities like Pittsburgh, you go to cities like Miami, there's no baseball to watch. Their teams are atrocious. You can't go there, and the only time you fill your stadium is when the other team's fans come into it.
Right. Yeah, so I mean, unfortunately, I think baseball is really losing right now because they do not have a hard salary cap. So I think if you have a hard salary cap, that will fix the salary basement issue, right? Maybe.
Yeah, I think the salary cap, but for sure you have to have a floor. For sure. You can't let 10 teams in the league be spending less than what 2 or 3 players in the league are going to make.
Well, isn't there a floor now though, right?
There is no floor, no.
I thought that was a part of the collecting agreement, was they had a floor now.
It should have been part of the agreement, but it wasn't. They had was a minimum for each so what it is rookie deals. So what the league minimum is. So the league minimum got moved up to $750,000. But I mean, that's still, or I'm sorry, $700,000. But that's still, I mean, what you're talking about for these guys and what they're doing, it's not competitive pay. You're not paying the guys what they're worth.
Yeah. Well, guys, that is going to be it for tonight. But Combs, let's go ahead and recap the show here. Final 4. Who do you have winning those games? Duke versus North Carolina. Who do you got?
I'm going with Duke and Coach K.
Duke and Coach K. Who do you got? Kansas and Villanova.
Give me Villanova to win that game.
So you have Duke versus Villanova in the championship. Who do you got winning the championship?
Duke. Coach K, baby.
Duke
wins it all. Goes out on top.
I have Duke beating North Carolina. I have Kansas beating Villanova. And I have Kansas winning it all, as much as that upset my stomach. But it is what it is. NFL season, preseason. Way too early prediction, Combs. Who do you got in the Super Bowl?
Oh, jeez. Give me, I'm going to go with a surprise here. Give me the San Francisco 49ers.
Early. For this, I muted myself.
You idiot.
Tell me I had one too many drinks without telling me I had one too many drinks.
So, for those of you guys listening to us on the radio right now, we have this thing where every once in a while we'll mute the other host and we'll, end the show by muting them. Well, Buck just had the brilliant idea of muting me to end the show, thinking it would be hilarious. And instead, the idiot muted himself.
Yeah.
Tell me you work with Mike Buck without telling me you work with Mike Buck.
Yep.
Man Hour Nation, rise up.